Sebastian had a dead white moonlight in his heart. 5th anniversary wedding anniversary. His white moonlight suddenly appeared at the banquet. He ran over and hugged her like crazy. "Celeste, I missed you so much." Everyone around was watching me and laughing. I didn't cry or make a fuss, I just watched them quietly. But in my heart, I kept repeating, "Sebastian, I can finally get rid of you." The day I got the divorce certificate. In the luxurious private room, I brought my girlfriends and ordered a whole room of male models. Sebastian pushed the door open. "Mrs. Sterling, having fun, I see." I cocked an eyebrow evilly. "Mr. Sterling, having a great time. Don't be a killjoy." Seeing his eyes turn red with anger, I threw the divorce certificate on the table. "Mr. Sterling, please call me Ms. Landon." People in the circle all knew that my happy marriage with Sebastian was a complete joke. The 5th anniversary of the wedding was more grand than any other year. I took Sebastian's arm and greeted every guest with a smile, neither humble nor arrogant, and very proper. Even if he didn't like me, Sebastian was willing to cooperate with me for such large-scale events. When the banquet reached its climax, something unexpected happened. Celeste appeared alive. The expression on Sebastian's face went from surprise to shock to joy. He forcefully pried my hand away and ran over to hug her like a madman. "Celeste, I missed you so much." My hand was ludicrously held in the air, and hearing his words, a sense of relief flashed through my calm mood. Everyone around was watching me and laughing, gossiping. The Sterling family was even more incredulous and turned dark. I didn't cry or make a fuss. I tried my best to maintain the face of the Sterling family, showing the generosity and gentleness of a wealthy wife. But in my heart, I kept repeating, "Sebastian, I can finally get rid of you." The banquet continued, and Sebastian left with her. The roar of the car leaving seemed particularly excited in the silent night. After all the guests were sent away, Grandpa promised me that he would definitely make Sebastian come home and apologize to me. I knelt in front of Grandpa and kowtowed to him. "Grandpa, Sebastian doesn't love me. Please let me go and fulfill him." I cried with pear blossoms and rain, but no one knew how happy I was. I found the white moonlight and also made her appear here. My grandfather and Grandpa Sterling were comrades in arms. When they were young, my grandfather broke his leg to save Grandpa Sterling. Because of this grace, Grandpa Sterling personally chose me to be the Sterling family's eldest grandson's wife. My marriage to Sebastian was decided by the elders just like that. From a young age, I liked to follow Sebastian, chasing after him and calling him Brother Sebastian. But he didn't seem to like me at all. He even loathed me. He liked to tease me, either splashing paint on my dress or locking me in a dark room. Once he even caught a mouse and put it in my school bag, scaring me to tears. He was happy to see me suffer. I didn't understand, so I mustered up the courage to ask him, "Sebastian, why are you doing this to me?" He raised his eyebrows and sneered disdainfully. "Aurora, I will never like you. If you want to marry me, forget it." I knew about the marriage that my grandfather had arranged for us, so I went back and said to my mother, "Mom, I don't want to marry Sebastian when I grow up. He doesn't like me." The next day, I handed him the letter of annulment I had written, my eyes red. "Sebastian, I won't marry you. Can you please not hate me?" That year, I was 10 years old. I naively thought that as long as I didn't marry him, he wouldn't hate me. Later, I realized that no matter what I did, I couldn't change the fact that he hated me. But what could I do? The wind-blown school uniform of my youth enveloped the greatest secret of my youth. Sebastian had light in his eyes, a smile on his lips, and looked cool and unruly, captivating all the girls in the school. As proud as he was, he didn't give any of the girls the time of day, except for Celeste. From a young age, we had attended the best private schools in Los Angeles. The children here were all rich or noble, and not many of them studied hard. Even fewer were admitted to top universities. In order to improve the school's reputation, in our senior year, the school poached a few top students from the best public schools in the city. Celeste was one of them. We paid to study, and she came to earn money. I noticed that Sebastian was different with her. He was so gentle with her, speaking gently, smiling gently. Every time he rearranged the seats, he would sit next to Celeste, supposedly to tutor her, but really to pursue her. His affection was always so blatant. Imported snacks, exquisite hairpins, fragrant flowers, and subtle but very special gifts. I saw him secretly stuffing them into Celeste's desk several times, and when he saw her surprised, he would smile foolishly at her. He never treated me like that. When he saw me, he would subconsciously put on a bad face, as if I was annoying. At that time, my heart and soul were filled with him, but his heart and soul were filled with another girl. Gradually, I began to distance myself from him. I wrote my girlish thoughts in my diary. A stroke paints a young man, who entered my eyes with a glimpse. Love stops with the wind, but longing remains. I repeatedly restrained my affection for Sebastian, and focused all my energy on studying. The year of the college entrance examination, I created a miracle for the school. Celeste and I were both admitted to a university, while Sebastian was admitted to C University. A university and C University were actually just across the street. Standing on the top floor of the teaching building, I could secretly see Sebastian. However, every time I saw him, there was always a girl beside him. He and Celeste were together. I have a delicate appearance and an easygoing personality. When I was in college, many boys pursued me. Perhaps my obsession with Sebastian was too deep. I would always compare those people with him, and then silently reject them. Sure enough, you shouldn't meet someone too amazing when you are young, otherwise, your standards will become higher and higher. On my 20th birthday, I invited my roommates to celebrate at a high-end clubhouse, and several good male friends came along as well. I didn't invite Sebastian, but he came that day. I looked at him quite surprised. Sebastian handed me a present he had bought. "Rory, happy birthday." I hesitated to take it, subconsciously thinking that Sebastian was going to tease me again. My roommate took the gift for me, and ambiguous glances passed between me and Sebastian. "Oh my God, what a beautiful necklace." An exclamation sounded in my ear. My pupils dilated, and my eyes fixed on the delicate necklace, unable to recover for a long time. Sebastian knew that I didn't lack this kind of thing, but I was still very happy to receive a normal gift from him for the first time. People around began to cheer curiously. "Aurora, introduce us. Who is this handsome guy?" Sebastian leaned lazily on the sofa, looking at me with interest, as if waiting for my answer. I nervously fidgeted with my hands, stammering out a sentence. He is my brother." "Brother?" Sebastian scoffed and lazily raised his eyes, smiling but not smiling. "My mother didn't give birth to a younger sister for me." My heart rippled uncontrollably because of his words. However, this wave stopped again the next day. I ran into Celeste on campus wearing the necklace Sebastian had given me. She saw my necklace and suddenly smiled. "Aurora, the things I don't want are quite suitable for you." I stubbornly grabbed her, wanting her to explain clearly, but she proudly raised her head and sneered at me. "Aurora, do you know why Sebastian hates you? He said you are too well-behaved and have no opinions of your own. He also said you are like a lapdog clinging to him. Is there nothing else you can do in your life besides liking him?" I was stunned. I had restrained my affection for someone so much, but he mocked me as a lapdog. I found Sebastian's good friend Nolan. Nolan told me what happened yesterday. A few days before my birthday, Sebastian and Celeste had a fight, and he wanted to buy a gift to apologize, so he chose this necklace. However, when Celeste saw the necklace, she became even more angry. She said that Sebastian deliberately bought such an expensive necklace to humiliate her, disliking that her family was poor. Both were proud people. After arguing, they broke up unhappily. Someone mentioned that today was Aurora's birthday, and why hadn't they been invited? After knowing that Sebastian and Celeste were together, I withdrew from their circle. Nolan was still nagging me, saying that Sebastian and Celeste often argued over trivial matters. Celeste's family is not well off, and she will work part-time during the holidays, so she doesn't spend much time with Sebastian. Sebastian gives her money, but she doesn't want it. When he buys her gifts, she gets angry if they are a little expensive. Actually, I think it's better to marry someone who is a good match. The gap between Sebastian and Celeste is too big, it won't last long. Aurora, you like him so much, go and snatch him back, we all support you. I had no patience to listen to him continue, so I took off the necklace and handed it to Nolan. Tell him the eldest daughter of the Landon family has a reputation to uphold. After that day, I never saw Sebastian again. As graduation approached, I was busy writing my thesis, and a major event happened at home. My mother fell down the stairs, and although the doctor fought hard to save her, she became a vegetable. I cried my eyes out at the hospital. My aunt asked Ryan to come and be with me. I sat on a bench, leaned on Ryan's shoulder, and wiped my tears and snot with his tie. Ryan was both amused and saddened, and he comforted me gently over and over again. Sebastian suddenly came. His slender figure blocked our path. The worry on his face, upon seeing me, turned into a casual, mocking expression. Aurora, I didn't want to come. It was Grandpa who insisted I come and see you. Seemingly not expecting my attitude to be so cold, he raised his eyebrows in displeasure, looked at Ryan, and then sneered at me. Aurora, have your eyes gotten worse in the 2 years we've been apart? Your taste in men is so poor. I looked at him in astonishment, knowing he had misunderstood Ryan, but I had no energy to explain. I nodded lightly and retorted blandly, Okay, I'll wear glasses tomorrow and pick a new one. Sebastian left angrily. I looked at his retreating figure inexplicably, unable to understand what he was so angry about. Ryan chuckled softly and said to me, Rory, he's jealous. I shook my head calmly and retorted, Ryan, he doesn't like me. How could he be jealous? My mother lay in the hospital for a month, showing no signs of waking up. I graduated from university and prepared to take over the land and family business. However, things didn't go so smoothly. A year earlier, my father had already cultivated a successor in the company. The moment I saw that person, a bad premonition swept over me. His eyebrows and eyes were 80% similar to my father's. My father told me he was a distant cousin. I didn't remember having such a relative. A paternity test confirmed my suspicions. He was my father's illegitimate son, Damien, 1 year younger than me. I suspected that my mother's accident was my father's doing. I had a gentle nature, and had never dared to disobey my father. This time, for my mother's sake, I called the police. I showed the police the paternity test and said indignantly, my father had an affair a long time ago. To let his illegitimate son officially take over the land and family business, he pushed my mother down the stairs and created the illusion of an accident. His intention was to kill my mother, so his mistress could take her place and his illegitimate son could rightfully become his son and inherit the family business. After I said all this, my father slapped me hard across the face. That slap completely woke me up. I was too weak, not yet capable of protecting my mother. I needed to learn to endure, lie dormant, and avoid his sharp edge. The police saw in the surveillance footage that my mother had indeed fallen by herself. As for why she fell down the stairs, I thought the answer was only clear to my father. Without direct evidence, I couldn't do anything to my father. My father cut off my mother's medical expenses and told me to figure it out myself. I didn't expect that my first act of defiance in all these years would almost kill my mother. I couldn't let my mother die. If she died, the mistress would take her place. If she died, I would become a child without a mother. I had to keep my mother alive. But what could I do to fight against my father? I thought of Sebastian, and even more of the marriage arranged by my grandfather. It was Grandpa Sterling's 70th birthday, and Sebastian appeared with Celeste. They had been together for the entire 4 years of university. It seemed Sebastian really loved Celeste. I suddenly felt a little despicable, that I shouldn't use morality to bind them. Forget it, if I didn't marry him, maybe there were other ways. I gave up the idea of marrying Sebastian, and put down my wine glass, preparing to leave. Unintentionally, I overheard Grandpa Sterling's conversation with Celeste. Grandpa Sterling said, I know your family history, it's a mess. I won't let a woman like you enter the Sterling family. The only granddaughter-in-law I recognize in my heart is Aurora. Even if you didn't say it, I would still break up with Sebastian. I have my pride. You don't need to humiliate me like this. That's for the best. I'll give you 5 million, and you'll disappear from Luo City tonight. I won't take your money. Your money will only insult my feelings for Sebastian. Young lady, I know you're excellent, but in my old eyes, your pride is only worth this much. I didn't continue listening. I tiptoed towards the entrance, but ran into Sebastian and a group of his buddies who were laughing and talking there. I ignored them, But Nolan called out to me. Aurora. Nolan approached me. Seeing that my complexion was not good, he asked me worriedly, "Are you feeling unwell?" I shook my head wearily. Sebastian walked over, his voice clear and lazy, with a drawn-out tone full of irritating implications. "Isn't it obvious? She's probably been dumped by a man." I looked up at him, lightly biting my lower lip, my eyes full of helplessness and grievance, and tears fell uncontrollably. Seeing me cry, Sebastian panicked and helped me wipe away my tears, his tone becoming unusually gentle. "Don't cry, I'm just teasing you. Tell me who bullied you, and I'll find someone to beat him up." I cried even harder, wanting to tell him that the person who had been bullying me all along was him. I felt someone push me, and I crashed into Sebastian's arms unexpectedly. Like a ghost, Sebastian didn't push me away, but instead reached out and hugged me. Celeste happened to see this scene, and she left in a huff. Sebastian hurriedly chased after her. 2 more months passed, and my relationship with my father was like walking on thin ice, as if it would shatter at any moment. He wouldn't let me go to the company, so I had to stay in the hospital with my mother every day. To force me to admit my mistakes, my father cut off my financial resources. I sold my luxury goods, thinking I couldn't continue like this, but I couldn't think of a suitable solution. My best friend Maya was interning at the hospital, and often came to see us. Seeing me become increasingly thin and worried, she gave me an idea, telling me to go find Nolan. The Shao family, although not as powerful as the Sterling family, could still contend with my father. I couldn't let that illegitimate son get all the benefits. I didn't have much interaction with Nolan, and I wasn't sure if he would help me. Just as I was considering whether or not to seduce Nolan, Grandpa Sterling called me and said that Sebastian was willing to marry me, asking if I was willing to marry him. I doubted the truth of his words until Sebastian accompanied me to choose a wedding dress and obtain a marriage certificate. Only then did I realize that it was real. At the wedding banquet, I unintentionally heard shocking news. Celeste was dead. No one told me, and the Sterling family was deliberately hiding it from me. On the day of Grandpa Sterling's birthday banquet, Sebastian chased after her and personally saw Celeste jump off the Luo River Bridge. Firefighters searched for 2 days and 2 nights, but still couldn't find her body. From that day on, Sebastian became a walking corpse. His family arranged for him to get married, hoping he would forget Celeste. Sebastian stubbornly believed that I was to blame for Celeste's suicide that day, so he told Grandpa Sterling that he wanted to marry me. He was marrying me to torture me. On our wedding night, Sebastian tormented me tirelessly. I cried and begged for mercy, but he gritted his teeth and said in my ear, "Now you know to beg for mercy, it's too late. Aurora, spend the rest of your life walking through hell with me." He poured all his hatred and Celeste's death into me. He must have thought that I had deliberately cried in front of him that day, deliberately crashed into his arms, deliberately let Celeste see it. But Celeste's death had nothing to do with me at all. After the wedding, Sebastian became a complete bastard. Scandalous news and affairs never stopped. I wore the title of Mrs. Sterling and became the laughingstock of Luo City. The only thing that comforted me was that I entered the Sterling group and learned to do business under Mr. Sterling's, Sebastian's father, guidance. He heard about my family's situation and gave me a lot of advice. With his tacit consent, I founded a company in Ryan's name, and then used the Sterling family's connections to snatch a lot of the Landon family's business. Because of my grandfather, the Sterling family treated me very well, except for Sebastian and his mother. On the anniversary of Celeste's death, Sebastian always had to take me to worship her and make me confess to her. I seemed gentle in nature, but I was stubborn to the core. I believed that her death had nothing to do with me, so why should I confess? Sebastian seemed to have inexplicable anger with nowhere to vent. So in the evenings he would go on a yacht, bringing a group of young girls with him. The Sterling family cared about their reputation, but after getting married, he always liked to do reckless things and then let me clean up his messes. On the yacht, Sebastian sat lazily on the sofa. The girls he found all had eyebrows and eyes that were somewhat similar to Celeste's. A charming girl sat on his lap, her delicate hands hooking around his neck, biting his ear with blushing cheeks. "Come to my place tonight, okay?" Sebastian's face was full of mocking smiles, as he flirtatiously hooked her chin. "Little beauty, if I slept with you, That would be cheating. My old man would have to break 3 of my legs. I'm married, so if I'm going to sleep with someone, it can only be my wife. His tone suddenly increased, and his words changed when he saw Aurora walk in. Mrs. Sterling, look at these beauties. Each one has unique skills, much better than you, a block of wood. A burst of laughter reached my ears, making my cheeks flush red. My gaze swept across the crowd, landing on the carefree, mischievous grin on his face as I struggled to control my emotions. Grandpa wants me to take you home. He cocked an eyebrow devilishly, deliberately trying to embarrass me in front of everyone. Holding the beauty in his arms, he nodded towards the bottom of the yacht. Jump down and I'll go home with you. With a splash, I jumped without hesitation. Everyone who knows me knows I can't swim, and I'm even a little afraid of water. As my body slowly sank, I wondered if Sebastian would remember me like he misses Celeste if I died like this. Probably not. He doesn't care about me at all. Just as I was closing my eyes in despair, a hand suddenly grabbed me. Nolan saved me. Soaked to the bone, I opened my eyes and, perhaps it was just my imagination, caught a glimpse of panic in Sebastian's eyes. But as I became fully conscious, it turned into furious scolding. Aurora, if I told you to jump, you jump? Are you a pig? How can you be so stupid? I saw Nolan's fist land on Sebastian's face. I rarely saw Nolan angry. That day, I saw him grab Sebastian by the collar and angrily berate him. Sebastian, it's because you told her to jump. Aurora is naive. Since you married her, treat her well, don't always abuse her. There aren't many truly sincere girls these days. Knowing Sebastian, he would have fought back or at least cursed back, but he did nothing to Nolan. He squatted down and scooped me up into his arms, and I heard his teasing voice in my ear. Mrs. Sterling, you win. I nestled in his arms, flattered and afraid to speak. As soon as I got home, I went into the bathroom and took off my soaked clothes. Sebastian brazenly barged in, startling me into instinctively covering myself. His wicked grin widened as he approached, backing me against the bathroom wall. Meeting his pitch-black eyes, I knew he was in the mood again. Exhausted, I bit my lip and said, Sebastian, I'm a little tired today. Can we do it another time? Mrs. Sterling. Sebastian's clothes were off in an instant, letting the hot water pour over his body, his voice hoarse. You need to be aware of your responsibilities as a wife. Be proactive. The words Mrs. Sterling brought me back to reality. I had no reason to refuse. Sebastian always liked to bully me in such an open and aboveboard way. I willingly accepted this marriage, locking him in, and also restricting myself. The Sterling family has already helped me so much. I can't greedily wish for him to love me. Strangely, Sebastian didn't torment me as usual. This time he was like a different person, extremely gentle with me. It made me wonder if the person who was entangled with me in the bathroom wasn't Sebastian. I was awakened in the morning by Mrs. Sterling's head-splitting scolding. The bed was already empty. I hung up the phone and saw that last night's farce on the yacht had become a trending topic. I couldn't help but gasp. In the end, it was still photographed. A young girl sitting on Sebastian's lap, me being forced to jump into the sea, and 2 men fighting over me. The distorted facts and comments almost exploded online. Remembering Mrs. Sterling's words. It's one thing for him to act up, but you're following along too. I endured the discomfort and got dressed. I thought Sebastian was gone, but unexpectedly, he was downstairs eating breakfast. Seeing me come down, he leaned lazily in his chair, his eyes full of gloating. Mrs. Sterling, you're going to have a bad day today. Just as annoying as he was when we were kids. He's happy when I'm having a hard time. I didn't have the appetite for breakfast. I put on my shoes and looked at him calmly. I'll wait for you in the car. As soon as the words left my mouth, I realized my throat was terribly hoarse, and there was a painful stinging sensation. Sebastian showed rare concern. His smile faded, and his expression darkened. Are you sick? I ignored him, thinking to myself that he was the one who made me sick with his torment. Last night, from the bathroom to the bedroom, Sebastian was crazy. Scenes of indescribable moments suddenly popped into my head, making my cheeks, which were already a little warm, even hotter. I shook my head, trying to shake off these amorous images and soberly warning myself. This is just Sebastian's way of tormenting me again. I can't fall for it. Between him and me, there's still a dead person. Sebastian walked towards me casually with a glass of milk in his hand. I hurriedly pushed the door open to leave. At the moment of closing the door, I seemed to hear the sound of a glass breaking. I frowned in confusion, not understanding what Sebastian was angry about, what he was going crazy about. As soon as he entered the Sterling family's old house, he leaned against the sofa without any propriety, smoking a cigarette. Mrs. Sterling invited me into the study. A woman's intuition told me that Sebastian's mother didn't like me. In her eyes, even a fairy from heaven wouldn't be worthy of her son. Without the support of my own family, she looked down on me even more from the bottom of her heart. Without asking the reason or distinguishing right from wrong, a clear handprint suddenly appeared on my face. Then she gritted her teeth and cursed angrily. Aurora, you've disappointed me so much. You've been married to him for so long. It's one thing that your stomach isn't helping, but even you aren't helping. You can't control him, and you're going along with his antics. Is that acceptable? My head was dizzy, and I listened silently without saying a word. It was like hitting cotton with a fist, soft and weak. Her anger wasn't completely vented, so she even picked up the inkstone on the table and wanted to throw it at me. With a snap, the door was pushed open. Sebastian came in. His fingers holding the cigarette lightly hooked my chin, scared and scoffed. Mom, you're really hitting hard. Are you trying to beat my wife to death? Mrs. Sterling put down the inkstone in her hand. Sebastian glanced at the table, and his light scoff turned into a cold scoff. Are you really trying to beat her to death, so I can be a widower? His protection gave me a fleeting surprise, but as I met his cold eyes, my heart instantly sank. He mocked me again. Aurora, are you a pushover? Anyone can pinch you. You don't know how to fight back when you're hit, or how to resist. I was furious. He did the outrageous things, and in the end, I was the one taking the blame. He still has the nerve to tell me to resist. Can I hit my mother-in-law? Do I have the right to resist? From the moment my mother fell down the stairs, I knew that if I wasn't strong enough, I wouldn't have the right to resist. I held my breath and adopted the most humble posture, apologizing to Mrs. Sterling. Mom, I'm sorry. I'll restrain myself in the future, and this kind of thing won't happen again. Before I could go out, Sebastian slammed the door shut and left in a fit of rage. Walking out of the study, I saw Grandpa Sterling at the gate, holding his cane and hitting Sebastian's leg, reprimanding him. You good for nothing. You need to restrain yourself and stop causing these messy, ridiculous things. Rory is a good girl. If you keep acting like this, you're going to lose your wife. Sebastian took the hit solidly, and catching a glimpse of me out of the corner of his eye, he drawled sarcastically. Old man, I've already married her according to your request. What else do you want from me? You can't be too greedy. I knew that the last sentence was directed at me. You can't be too greedy. He married me, letting the Sterling family pull me out of the mud, so what right do I have to ask him to like me? Clearly, when I was 10 years old, I personally handed him the letter of cancellation of the engagement, telling him that I wouldn't marry him when I grew up. Now, I'm the one who broke the promise. He should hate me. Plus, Celeste is a thorn in our hearts, piercing into our flesh, impossible to pull out. Sebastian went abroad. Someone photographed him at the airport, embracing a little celebrity on his way to the Maldives. He was gone for several months. I felt the rare peace and quiet, but my heart was empty. The Landon family's business was declining day by day. My dad finally realized that something was wrong. He found out that I was behind it all, and took Damien to the company to make things difficult for Ryan. Damien, like a hooligan, brought people to smash my company. Someone called the police, but before the police arrived, I got there first and I brought my own tools. The moment I saw my illegitimate half-brother, I went up and slapped him several times. He seemed stunned by my slaps, his brain shutting down for a few seconds. He looked at the thing in my hand, his eyes full of shock. Yes, hitting someone with my hand hurts too much, so I bought a special tool for slapping faces. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. After hitting him, my face was full of exhilarating smiles. Seeing his son being beaten, My scumbag dad raised his hand and wanted to slap me, but his hand was stopped in midair. As I looked at Sebastian in shock, he raised his eyebrows at me mischievously, and then with explosive power his long leg kicked Damien to the ground. He clutched his stomach and wailed at Sebastian. "Brother-in-law, I was wrong. Don't call me that." Sebastian pushed my dad away, put his arm around me, and scanned Damien with the corner of his eye, his voice casual. "My mother-in-law didn't have a son, did you forget? You're a shameless bastard." The last two words were drawn out. My dad's face turned livid with anger. When the police arrived, Sebastian snatched the face-slapping tool from my hand, studied it for a long time, and a teasing smile appeared on his lips again. "Mrs. Sterling, you look pretty fierce when you hit people. You wouldn't want to kill me too, would you?" "How could I? I don't have any grudges against you. Since you can't bear to hit your husband, why didn't you buy some little toys for couples?" Knowing that nothing good would come out of his mouth, I turned to leave, but in the next instant, my waist tightened, and Sebastian threw me over his shoulder. I exclaimed in surprise, and everyone looked at us. I was so embarrassed that my face was flushed red, and I struggled restlessly. Unexpectedly, he shamelessly raised his hand and slapped my butt again and again. "Be honest, don't move." "Sebastian, why did you hit me? Can't I hit you? Are you going to accuse me of domestic violence?" He chuckled softly, glancing at the police officer beside him, deliberately raising his voice. "Officer, is hitting my wife's but considered domestic violence?" The surrounding people erupted in laughter and jeering, while the police officer looked at him sternly. "Young man, be serious." "All right, I'll take my wife home. To sleep." Another wave of suggestive laughter. I felt both angry and embarrassed, and could only lower my voice to plead with him. "Sebastian, it's daytime, so many people are watching, let me down first." "What? Do I need to pick a time to sleep with my wife? Ugh, what a scoundrel." Before leaving, my dad gave me a deep look. I saw surprise in his eyes, as if he didn't expect Sebastian to treat me like this. He carried me home. Really just to sleep? I was about to be driven crazy by his impulsive actions. When the pleasure reached its peak, he nibbled on my ear, constantly asking me, "Aurora, it's been so long since I saw you, did you miss me?" A charming sound escaped my throat, pleasing him, and he continued to question. "If you missed me, why didn't you contact me?" My eyes were glazed as I looked at him, seemingly seriously considering the question. Why didn't I contact him? Before I had contacted him, but every message was like a stone sinking into the sea. Sebastian never replied. When I called, I was only greeted by his impatient voice. The phrase I heard most often was, "Don't bother me unless it's important in the future." Bearing the title of Mrs. Sterling, I had to force myself to go to those glamorous places to find him, only to be met with his annoyance every time. Gradually, I became very sensible and stopped contacting him or looking for him. His dark, ink-like eyes were reflected in my own, and as our eyes met, our breaths intertwined. I could clearly feel each other's heart beating, and I parted my lips, gathering all my courage, and asked the question hidden deep within my heart. "Sebastian, do you like me?" Hearing my question, his expression visibly faltered, followed by a short laugh, full of mockery. "Aurora, what are you thinking? I've told you since we were kids, I'll never like you." He was still on top of me, but the words he spoke were so cold. Disheartened, I lowered my eyes, stubbornly pressing, "If you don't like me, why did you help me during the day? Your Mrs. Sterling bullying you is like slapping the Sterling family's face. Of course I have to help." So that's it, the person he helped was Mrs. Sterling, not Aurora. A wave of bitterness washed over me. He sleeps with me every day, but his heart is thinking of someone else. Men, how can they separate their physiology and psychology so clearly? Feeling wronged, I pushed him away, got up, and went to the bathroom, turning the water on as loud as possible, squatting in the corner and crying softly. He's always like this, giving a little light and then extinguishing it himself, repeatedly tugging at my emotions, making me hallucinate, making me feel anxious about gains and losses. "Sebastian, I want to get rid of you." The day I submitted my resignation to Mr. Sterling, Sebastian's father, I encountered trouble again. Assistant Hannah knocked on the door, interrupting my conversation with Mr. Sterling, Sebastian's father. She pushed the door open halfway and poked her head in. Director 1, the company's jewelry spokesperson was decided long ago, Mr. Sterling brought someone over today, saying he wants to change people. He's asking you to go to his office now. I nodded, planning to leave after dealing with this matter. After playing abroad for a while, Sebastian had changed his nature and actually started working honestly. I pushed open the door, and the scene that greeted me stunned me slightly. In the past, Sebastian's antics were only on the outside, but this time it was ridiculously outrageous, actually bringing someone to the company. He leaned lazily in his chair, a beautiful woman straddling his lap in a suggestive pose. Seeing me enter, her eyes were full of provocation. Sebastian wrapped his arms around her waist, bringing her lips closer to his. I clenched my hands with all my might, trying to make my steps look calm, and walked straight towards them, looking at Sebastian. Mr. Sterling, did you want to see me? Seeing me arrive, Sebastian turned Scarlett's face so I could see her clearly, and then smiled casually. Miss Landon, I want to change the spokesperson to her. Take a good look, isn't she pretty? I knew her, the popular celebrity Scarlett. She was the woman who accompanied Sebastian abroad. She had been with Sebastian for quite some time, and I curiously sized her up. After examining her, I realized she looked nothing like Celeste. I was a little confused by Sebastian. It seemed like he had changed his taste. All right, whatever you like. Seemingly not expecting my reaction to be so calm, Sebastian suddenly lost the mood to tease me. He pushed Scarlett away, stood up and slowly walked towards me. Dad said you want to resign. Why? My company, Ryan can't handle everything alone. I want to go help. Aurora, you're making me suspect you're discarding a bridge after crossing it. Yeah, I can handle the Landon family's troubles myself from now on. I didn't refute him. With my current strength, making use of the conveniences provided by the Sterling family, I could completely compete with my father. Bringing him down was just a matter of time. Perhaps because my mindset had changed, I wanted to get rid of Sebastian, and no longer wanted to stay at the Sterling group. Sebastian was choked by my words. I saw the expression on his face was very strange, but I didn't think too deeply, just left a sentence. Mr. Sterling, if there's nothing else, I'll go first. I turned around, and before I could leave the office, Scarlett's sweet voice came from behind. Sebastian, I'll have a baby for you, okay? Sebastian lazily curled his lips and smiled carelessly. Sure. But the answer changed to mockery when he saw the figure disappear before his eyes. Don't be silly, you're not Mrs. Sterling. The baby you give birth to would be illegitimate. Scarlett hooked her arm around his neck, a little presumptuous, and said, Then get a divorce and let me be Mrs. Sterling, okay? The smile on Sebastian's face froze, his face darkened, and his voice turned cold. You're going too far, don't be shameless, I'm not interested in sleeping with you. Scarlett left angrily. I knew it wouldn't be easy to get a divorce from Sebastian, but I didn't expect it to be so difficult. Sebastian, as if possessed, pestered me every night, wanting me to have a baby for him. We had been married for several years, but because of Celeste, we hadn't thought about having children. He said that Grandpa was waiting to hold a great-grandson, and wanted me to cooperate. I was annoyed. A marriage without love, the child born would also become a victim. Sebastian discovered that I was secretly taking medicine, and we had a big fight, the fiercest fight in nearly 5 years of marriage. I mentioned divorce to him. His stern voice sent shivers down my spine. Aurora, we agreed to live in hell together. You want to get rid of me, only if I die. Sebastian gave me the cold shoulder, and I couldn't be bothered to try to accommodate him anymore. Our relationship was drifting further and further apart. I didn't force it anymore, and it didn't seem so painful anymore. In the years that my mother was sick, Maya had been helping me find treatment methods and famous doctors. Encountering Celeste was purely accidental. Maya knew a doctor in Hong Kong who spoke about some acupuncture techniques, saying we could try them. That day, I got on a plane and went to Hong Kong Central Hospital. At the hospital entrance, I ran into Celeste. Seeing her was like seeing a ghost in broad daylight, while she greeted me calmly. Aurora, long time no see. So, what the hell have Sebastian and I been worshipping all these years? Celeste took me to see her son, a 3-year-old boy with leukemia. Celeste told me what happened back then. On the day of Grandpa's birthday banquet, she didn't want Grandpa's 5 million, but encountered Sebastian's mother when she left. Mrs. Sterling, from a mother's perspective, reasoned with Celeste and moved her with emotion, making her feel so ashamed that she chose to leave. Mrs. Sterling said, "Celeste, Sebastian said he was going to marry you as soon as he graduated, and I don't agree. Some time ago, I went for a facial with my sisters, and I don't know how your mother found me. She yelled at the entrance that my son slept with her daughter, and since he slept with her, he can't sleep for nothing. She asked me for $1 million and I gave it. You know? Mothers can't stand their sons putting everything on the line for other people's daughters. Last time I went to find him, I saw him helping deliver food at the place you work part-time. I felt so bad. He's my son that I've spoiled since he was a child. He's going to inherit the Sterling family's business in the future. Yet he's riding a scooter through the wind and rain for you. Can you understand how I feel? I've had someone investigate your family's situation. You're probably embarrassed about what your mother does, right? Do you want Sebastian to be mocked behind his back for the rest of his life? It's not that I think you're not good. It's just that your family background is too poor. If you really love him, let go." Celeste was a proud person. From the moment she accepted Sebastian, she knew that there was no future between them. But she still accepted him. She wanted to try her luck. In the end she failed, failing miserably. When she came out looking disheveled and saw Sebastian holding Aurora, comforting her, she heard her heart shatter into 1,000,000 pieces. Sebastian always scoffed at his and Aurora's childhood engagement, but Celeste was jealous to death. Every time she saw Aurora cautiously following behind Sebastian, she would always pick a fight with him for no reason. Sometimes, she would even despicably slander her, making Sebastian hate her. But so what? In the end, the person who could marry him was still Aurora. Mrs. Sterling's words made her self-esteem suffer. She really wanted to die and completely get rid of that unbearable family. However, when she sank to the bottom of the water, about to drown, her younger brother's weak and helpless figure flashed through her mind. She couldn't be so selfish, and even more so, she couldn't leave him to bear this mess so cruelly. Celeste struggled to swim, realizing that those fighting at the bottom had to give their all just to survive. They had no right to choose love. That night, clutching her pitiful dignity, she left Los Angeles with her family. To avoid being found by Sebastian, she cut her long hair and changed her name. From then on, she was just Celeste. I listened, then smiled, then cried. So, what were those 5 years of mutual torment with Sebastian? Celeste, it's been 5 years. He's been living in regret and self-blame, making me unhappy too. If you wanted to leave him, you could have told him clearly, but you chose the most selfish way. Celeste was speechless. What Sebastian's mother could find with money, I could find too. In my opinion, Celeste's family situation could only be described as terrible. Her family of 4 lived on a fishing boat year-round, making a living by fishing. Celeste was excellent since childhood. The year she was admitted to a key high school in the city, her father was diagnosed with lung cancer. The high medical expenses drove her mother to gamble recklessly. In the end, she not only lost the fishing boat but also herself. After that, Celeste's family moved to a dilapidated alley. Her father's body became increasingly thin, and without a source of income, Celeste took on part-time jobs in her spare time. Her mother, behind her family's back, secretly engaged in prostitution. So the year she was in her 3rd year of high school, when a private high school came to scout her, Celeste agreed without hesitation. She needed money desperately. But even with the money, her father's life couldn't be saved. It was said that her father's funeral was particularly lively, and especially shameful. Her mother was stripped naked in public and beaten by a group of women. The scene was chaotic, and Celeste and her younger brother were almost harmed. They moved again. After Celeste was admitted to university, she worked part-time day and night to earn money. She carried a heavy burden, only because she still had a younger brother and a mother at home. Even that mother, she had long hated her. Giving up Sebastian and leaving Los Angeles didn't make Celeste's life any better. She was targeted. Someone set a trap for her younger brother, causing him to impulsively rescue a beauty and injure someone. The other party demanded 500,000 yuan, or her younger brother would go to jail. Of course, There was another way, which was to marry him. The so proud Celeste, for her younger brother's future, sold herself. I frowned regretfully as I looked at the information investigated by the private detective. Celeste must have known that her mother had received money from Mrs. Sterling and stubbornly returned the money to her. Such strong self-esteem. If she had bowed her head earlier, perhaps she wouldn't have sacrificed her own happiness. Or perhaps, it didn't matter who she married, as long as the person wasn't Sebastian. A year after marriage, Celeste gave birth to a son, but fate singled out the suffering. When her son was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Her husband was initially willing to treat him, but later found it was a bottomless pit, and decisively abandoned his wife and child. Looking at her shattered first half of her life, I found her and made a deal with her. I found the industry's top doctors for her son, and transferred 1 million yuan to her. I only wanted her to do one thing for me. Persuade Sebastian to divorce me. I couldn't understand the emotion in her eyes. It seemed like surprise, and also like joy. I smiled speechlessly, too lazy to guess what she was thinking. Back in Los Angeles, Scarlett found me, saying she was pregnant with Sebastian's child, and asked me to let them be together. She cried pitifully in front of me. I calmly turned on the recording on my phone, happy to have gained another bargaining chip for the divorce. Sebastian didn't come home that night. He probably had a lot to say to Celeste. I thought with a wicked sense of fun, how would Sebastian, who had longed for her for 5 years, finally put her at ease? I calmly packed my things. There were actually very few things I wanted to take. 1 suitcase was enough. This villa was the wedding gift Grandpa Sterling gave us. It was too big, and I always felt empty and lonely when I was alone at home. I actually preferred the small apartment in the city. It was bought with the first pot of gold earned by my own company, a 2-bedroom apartment, with 1 room left for my mother. I had always hoped that she would wake up, and had never given up. I went downstairs with the suitcase. Mr. Sterling, Sebastian's father, called. Come home, we're waiting for you at home. I hung up the phone and looked around the villa, exhaling in relief. Goodbye, Sebastian. In the Sterling family's old mansion, all the servants had been dismissed early in the morning, leaving only family members. Sebastian knelt in front of Grandpa, his head lowered. He was still wearing yesterday's clothes, but his suit had obvious wrinkles. Seeing me enter, the stern expression on Grandpa's face eased, and he beckoned to me kindly, as if to fulfill his promise to me last night. Rory, come here. Sebastian will kowtow to you and apologize. I walked over and knelt down next to Sebastian, kowtowing to all the elders of the Sterling family. This was my gratitude to the elders as a junior of the Sterling family, and also a farewell. Without the Sterling family, there would be no Aurora today, and no strength to fight against my father. Sebastian turned to look at me. The lazy teasing was gone from his face, replaced by a nervousness I had never seen before. He pursed his lips and asked me, Aurora, what are you doing? I took out the pre-prepared divorce agreement from my bag and handed it to him, taking off my ring in front of everyone and placing it on top. I smiled easily and relievedly. Sebastian, let's get divorced. I hadn't called him that in a long time. When I was little, I really liked calling him Sebastian, following him, chasing him. But he always glared at me fiercely. Aurora, who's your brother? I'm warning you, don't follow me again. I smiled and then suddenly burst into tears. The person I liked in my youth, I'm finally going to let you go. Everyone was silent. The quiet was so profound one could hear a pin drop. Aurora, how dare you? Sebastian's voice was filled with a gnashing intensity. I said if you want a divorce, only over my dead body. I knew it. I calmly took out my phone and played Scarlett's words, exactly as they were, for them to hear. Miss Landon, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm pregnant with Mr. Sterling's child. You've been married for so many years without having a child. This is the Sterling family's first great-grandchild. You should keep him, right? When Scarlett met me, she wasn't even willing to call me Mrs. Sterling. She was humble, but I saw the triumph in her eyes. There was a long silence on the phone. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Scarlett was ultimately too impatient. She raised her voice, which suddenly became sharp. Aurora, Sebastian doesn't love you. Please let him go, okay? Don't cling to him shamelessly. It's been 5 years. You've occupied the title of Mrs. Sterling for so long, you should get a divorce. Don't be so pathetic, okay? Sebastian smashed my phone. Whether it was because he felt guilty and couldn't bear to listen, or because I had publicly exposed his ugliness, in any case he was very angry. Grandpa Sterling slammed his cane hard on his shoulder, scolding him angrily with disappointment. You worthless thing, are you trying to anger me to death? I heard Sebastian groan, and turned to look at me. A cynical sneer tugged at the corner of his mouth. Aurora, you're an idiot. You believe whatever people say? I haven't even touched her, damn it. What about Celeste? Hearing me mention Celeste, the expression on Sebastian's face froze at a speed visible to the naked eye. I found it a bit ridiculous and sighed deeply. Sebastian, I haven't been happy at all these past 5 years. I don't owe you anything, do I? Even if Celeste really died, it has nothing to do with me. Moreover, she's still alive. Since you can't let her go, go find her. I'm tired. Celeste and Scarlett, whoever he chose in the end, had nothing to do with me. I stood up, but my wrist was gripped by a strong force. I lowered my head and saw that Sebastian's eyes were red and his expression was as aggrieved as if he was about to cry. Aurora, do you really not want me anymore? I forcefully pried his hand away, just as he had pried my hand away yesterday, my tone firm and certain. Yes, this time I really don't want you anymore. It rained the day we got our divorce certificate. I waited for a long time in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, before Sebastian arrived. When he arrived, he didn't go in. I held up an umbrella and walked over, seeing him leaning against the car, smoking silently. I knocked on the car window, urging him, hurry up, they're about to close. Sebastian extinguished the cigarette butt and pushed open the car door. His tall figure suddenly ducked under my umbrella. I was stunned for a moment. In my distraction, he snatched the umbrella handle with one hand and wrapped his arm around my waist with the other, laughing freely. Wife. He called me that, and seeing my brows furrow slightly, he lazily curled his lips. I didn't call you wrong. If we're not divorced for one more minute, you're still my wife. I was too lazy to argue with him and urged him again. Go in quickly, they're really about to close. A sigh fell into my ear. Sebastian didn't speak, but tilted the umbrella towards me, put his arm around my shoulder, and we walked inside. In the past, every time he made such considerate gestures and uttered such passionate words, my heart would flutter. Now my heart was as still as a lake. The moment the official seal landed, I completely breathed a sigh of relief. But Sebastian held my hand, his rough thumb constantly stroking the back of my hand. I wanted to pull away, but he held on even tighter. Rory, marrying me, you regret it, don't you? I shook my head, my voice sincere and without deceit. How could I? I was really happy the day I married you. It's just what you did to me later that made my heart turn cold. I'm sorry you married someone you didn't like. I wish you and the person you love a lifetime of happiness. Sebastian seemed stunned by my words. His eyelashes fluttered slightly, and his eyes suddenly turned red. He opened his mouth to say something, but his phone rang untimely. I heard Celeste's voice. I gently patted his hand, signaling him to let go. Without another word, I waved goodbye to him. However, I didn't expect to run into Sebastian again at a gathering with my girlfriends that evening. Grandpa Sterling, to make amends to me, not only allowed me to share in the Sterling Group shares after the divorce, but also gave me an additional 500 million. I became a completely single, little rich woman. With a grand wave, I ordered many male models at the club. Male models of different styles stood in front of us. Maya, the pervert, was drooling, and everyone else was laughing at her. My heart was dead, but my eyes weren't blind, and my hands weren't dead either. I walked over and lifted up a male model's shirt. The crowd cheered. Take it off, 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 off. Just as we were having fun, the door was suddenly pushed open, and Sebastian came in. He seemed to have never seen me like this before. Seeing my hand on that person's abs, his face immediately darkened and he blurted out, Mrs. Sterling, playing pretty wild. I imitated his former self, raising my eyebrows wickedly, and challenged him head-on for the first time. Mr. Sterling, we're in the middle of having fun. Don't spoil the mood. Seeing his eyes turn red with anger, I threw the divorce certificate on the table. Mr. Sterling, please call me Ms. Landon. Sebastian went crazy. He smashed the private room with his bare hands and drove everyone away. Before leaving, my girlfriends cursed at him. Sebastian, you're just courting death. You were married to her for 5 years, and we never saw you love Rory that much. Now that you're divorced, why are you pretending to be all deep? In the end, he knelt in front of me, hugging my legs and crying his heart out. My girlfriends shut their mouths and left awkwardly. He said, Rory, I regret it. Let's start over, okay? Honestly, in my 27 years, it was the first time I'd seen Sebastian so humble. I squatted in front of him, deeply stroking his eyebrows and eyes, wanting to give him the illusion that I still loved him. Just like the illusion he used to give me. I smiled gently and said calmly to him, No, I don't want to be Mrs. Sterling anymore. A few months later, my mother miraculously woke up. I was overjoyed and cried in her arms for a long time. My mother's memory was still stuck on the day she fell down the stairs. She called the police and hired a lawyer. My mother knew when I was very young that my father had another family outside. In order for me to grow up healthy, she had always chosen to endure and remain silent. Finally, when she found out that my father was planning to hand over the company to that illegitimate son, she completely erupted. My father didn't actually push her, but he had people sprinkle something on the stairs and deliberately chose that position to provoke my mother. I hadn't seen my scumbag father for a long time since I hit Damien at the company that time. His hair had turned much whiter. Seeing my mother wake up, he pretended to care for her and asked for her forgiveness. My mother was completely disappointed and coldly watched my father being taken away by the police. The Landon family's company became an empty shell. I paid to acquire it and drove Damien and his mother out of my house. The company and the house had half of my mother's hard work in them. I definitely couldn't let outsiders benefit from it. After my mother woke up, Sebastian came to see her. I hadn't seen him in months. He had become much thinner. His handsome face carried his usual carefree expression, but his eyes had a few more traces of composure and restraint. Seeing me walking towards him, he quickly threw the cigarette in his hand on the ground and crushed it with his foot. What are you doing here? I'm here to see my mother-in-law. All these years, I haven't called her mom once. I came here today specifically to say it. I looked at him speechlessly. He handed me a notebook in his hand and apologized to me sincerely. Rory, I'm sorry, I accidentally read your diary. On the day of our wedding, I married him with the joy of youth. However, the second half was filled with sorrow. I didn't take it. That belonged to the Aurora of the past, not the present, and not the future. Throw it away. Seemingly not expecting me to say that, Sebastian complained to me aggrievedly. Aurora, you wrote simp in your diary. When did I ever say you were a simp? Also, for 5 years of marriage, I didn't touch any of those women outside. The Sterling family's seed. I only want it to come from your belly. What about Celeste? I actually asked this question with a popcorn-eating mentality. I was really curious. Sebastian thought I was jealous. The smile at the corner of his mouth was a little strange. He looked at me for a long while before speaking. No. Whether you believe it or not, I didn't touch her before we got married, and even less after. So, I'm not the cheating scumbag you wrote about in your diary. Isn't emotional cheating still cheating? Sebastian was choked by my question. I left with a carefree attitude while he was lost in thought. On my 30th birthday, Nolan proposed to me, and I said yes. He knelt on one knee and said the most plain and simple words of love to me, tears streaming down his face. He said, Aurora, the thing I regret most in my life is pushing you into Sebastian's arms at Grandpa Sterling's birthday banquet that day. So Nolan knew everything. He knew that my heart and eyes were full of that person, and he chose to fulfill my wish. However, I didn't know. Once, there was a boy whose heart and eyes were also full of me. I'm always so slow to realize things.